It's your girl, Professor Cinephile, and I am going to dig in. Okay. Like, tuck your shirt in, put your seatbelt on, grab a drink because we are going to be talking about Blink Twice. The film formerly known as Pussy Island. Okay. You can already tell we're onto some mess. So let me be very clear that I love, 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 love horror. I've said this before if you've watched any of my other videos. If you're new here, horror and blaxploitation are my two favorite genres of film. So we are digging into this. I'm going to say that this is more of a thriller slash horror, very psychological, does have some slasher stuff going on, but that's how we're going to classify it. I'm going to issue a spoiler alert as always. If you don't want this film to be ruined for you, come back when you've seen it and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Be sure to subscribe and so you don't miss any of these, right? Hit that subscribe button. Love to have you here, and hit the like button on this video while you're at it. Okay. So I actually had not heard of this film. So I was looking for something to go see, and I go on my AMC app, and then I saw it there and I was like, oh, that looks like Channing Tatum, who I like watching. I'm not saying he's the best actor in the world, but he is wonderful to look at. So I said, well, listen, and then I read the description, and then I saw that Naomi Ackie was in it. And I like her. I like her as an actress. I really enjoyed what she did as Whitney Houston. A lot of people maybe didn't like that, but I thought she was doing pretty well. So I was like, all right, let me go check it out. Had no idea what it was about or whatever. Then I saw that the director is none other than Zoe Kravitz, okay, the daughter of Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz. And she is a celebrity and artist in her own right. Definitely a Nepo baby. I don't know any other way that we can say that. But this is like her, her writing and feature film directorial debut, maybe. I've never heard of her doing other films. Correct me, fact check me in the comments. I I was like, okay, I was totally intrigued. Was not ready for anything in this film. However, I will say off the bat, I enjoyed it. All right. So there's a couple of things I want to dig into. First, the fact that the title was changed, that's really interesting, right? She wanted it to be called Pussy Island. And if you go see it, you'll understand why. But I also think that it is too much, sounds a little too much like Epstein Island. And the comparisons, I try not to read film reviews or what have you before I go and see films or before I do my own. But I did glance at some, and there was some controversy over the film itself, kind of evoking the idea of Epstein Island, right? And if you're not familiar with that, it's basically Jeffrey Epstein, a very rich, wealthy white guy, was accused and found guilty basically of human trafficking and having this island where he would fly people to. And it's a controversial thing because many people have flown his planes. Some people are suggesting that folks have been to this island, including former presidents and other celebrities. So it's kind of a big thing. So for this film to come out, right? While this is something that is still being discussed, right? President Trump has been on Jeffrey Epstein's planes. We don't know if he's been to the island. He has been seen in the company of underage girls. I shouldn't even say underage because that's underage girls is redundant, but you know what I mean. So that's why this film is kind of like sparking some controversy because this is something that is present on people's minds. All right, now that we've got the preamble out the way, so you understand the context for this, the story is about a young woman named Frida, and she connects and she has these friends, and they go away for this, like, they go away to this island for like this hedonistic vacation, really, like lots of drugs, lots of drinking, lots of just whatever, like just chilling, and we not doing anything. It's like five girls, and they all go, and there's these guys here, what have you. And it seems like all is well. They're having a great time. Young people doing their, travel, live, laugh, love thing. Or is it eat, pray, love? Whatever. You know what I mean. um, so they're all doing this. It's fun. It's great. They're getting high. And so, the music is vibing, it's they doing their thing. And then they wake up one of the girls is missing. Yet, nobody notices this because nobody remembers that there was a fifth girl with them. Okay. So already off the rip, you're like, all right, this is about to be some horror stuff. We about to get into it. Okay, so we do get into it. And what we learn, again, spoiler alert, what we learn is that this is actually an island where women are trafficked and brought to this island, and men pay a lot of money to come to this island and sexually assault them. And they have created perfume, some kind of chemical that causes people to forget their lives, right? They forget things, and so they don't remember because they are inhaling this perfume. However, there's an antidote, and it is snake venom. And when you have the snake venom in you, your memories come back. So that's a pretty interesting premise, right? We got some supernatural stuff going on here. We've got some like, kind of have to suspend disbelief in order to like enjoy and immerse yourself in this. I'm gonna be honest, I did sleep through the first 10 minutes of the film. I was tired, but I woke up, I didn't miss nothing. Whatever. So here's what I want to get into though, because it's a pretty, you get it. Some of the scenes, I will say some of the scenes are a bit graphic. They're flashes though, so it's not like full on, but it's enough for you to know exactly what's happening to these women. And it's I don't like gratuitous scenes of sexual assault. I don't ever think that they are necessary. I think and also actually murder. I think that there are ways of being suggestive that can help. And I think Zoe Kravitz actually does a decent job of this. Her eye is very special, and I'm looking forward to seeing where she's going to go as a director. When you go in knowing that she directed it, you're going to be like, this is so Zoe Kravitz. Like everything you know about her, the directing style is very much what you imagine it would be. Okay. Very esoteric. There's really like poetic angles. There's like she's clearly trying to make statements and say things with her directing, and then the cinematography and all of that. It's pretty good. There's some choppy parts, and there's some parts where you're kind of like, I'm not sure what you're doing here, but it doesn't really take away from the overall film. So that's a good thing. The film, it's hard not to compare it to, what we've heard about Epstein Island. Just this idea, but I think it's broader than Epstein Island. And I'm glad that they changed the title because I could see people just really focusing on that. What I liked was that she's really bringing more awareness to the fact that human trafficking is a huge problem around the world, particularly in the Western world, that is happening to this day, that slavery in the United States is very much real, and people are being trafficked every single day, right? And that's what I hope people kind of walk away with. Now, you can get into the politics of that, but I just thought it was really interesting, like the makeup of the women. So you have a Black woman, you have a Latina woman, not Afro-Latina, but she's like a Latina woman. You have a woman who looks like she's like biracial. Then there's another white woman, she's like blonde. And then there's the first one who dies. Her name is Jess. She looks like she's a white woman with a lot of freckles and red hair, what have you. So you've got diversity among the women, kind of letting people know that it's not just white girls that are being trafficked. In fact, in this film, the Black girl was like the most desirable one. And particularly because she kind of belonged to the guy who owned it, and that a very sick and twisted kind of obsession he had with her. So that was one thing that I thought was interesting. I also like the idea that, this snake venom exists to give people back their memories, but some people may not want them. And that's where Geena Davis, yes, the Geena Davis, comes in, and she's playing this older woman who is on the island. And you're trying to figure out, like, why is she here? Why is this older woman here with all these like young people just kind of like she doesn't fit in, and you see her from the beginning, you're like, why is she here? But she seems like out of it. She seems she's doing drugs, she's drinking, all these kinds of things. And then she gets some of the snake venom, because what ends up happening is the girl Jess, she got bit by the snake venom, and that's when she started to remember, and they realized that her memory was coming back, so they killed her. But when Frida gets her memory back, and then she connects with Sarah, and she's just like, you don't remember these things? There is a woman, they call her, I think, the badass nanny or something like that. She comes and gives them the snake venom. And she's like, take this, take this. So they drink it. It's disgusting, but their memories come back and they're like, okay, how do we get the other ones? So they start doing the shots. They like, let's do shots, let's do shots. And so it's really, these are women who are trying to survive. Sarah was like a reality star on a competition show, like a Survivor type show. So she has these survivor skills. So she's, they're definitely, you're like, oh, they're going to get out. They're going to get out. Like something about this is like, they're going to get out. They're going to get out. So we're moving through that. And it's really interesting about, there's a interesting commentary about trauma and forgetting and whether or not if people had the option to remember, would they choose it? And that's where Gina Davis's character comes in, because Frida gives her the venom and she drinks it. She's like taking shots and stuff. And then she remembers and she's angry. She's angry at Frida for making her remember. She's like, I wanted to forget, because apparently they have been doing this to her for years and years and years. And she's been stuck there for years and years and years. And they have been abusing her for years and years and years. And it's better for her to forget, right? And so there was something really heavy about that and something very real about that. And I'm glad that she kind of touched on it in this kind of context. Trying to think of what else I was intrigued. I was just like, oh, I would really want to see how this was going to end. And the fun thing is that it ends with a final girl. If you don't know what a final girl is, it's a term that was coined, I believe, in the 80s, describing a woman in a horror film who ends up making it to the end where she squares up against like the final boss or whoever the main villain is, and she defeats them and she ends up being the one person to survive. We rarely ever get a black final girl. So I was cheering in the audience. I saw it once I saw Frida and Sarah hatching a plan and they were like, we're going to get out. I was like, I literally said, a black final girl. And people in the audience were like laughing because I was just like, it's so rare, right? So that was wonderful. Shout out to Zoe for making sure that that happened. We got a black final girl. But there's a lot of questions asked at the end of the film. The film ends with her poisoning the guy who runs the island, the one that was obsessed with her. He ends up, forgetting everything, kind of forgetting where he is and not understanding what's going on. And she manages to take him back to reality. And then they cut to a scene where she's now the CEO of his company and he's under her control. And she keeps feeding him this because he has this vape, and she keeps feeding him the stuff through the vape and kind of keeps him in line. And it's like, wow, how did this happen? Obviously, some years have passed. Like, how does this happen? So there was a couple of things in there where I was just like, I don't know if they rushed the end or if this is exactly how she wanted it. It felt a little bit rushed though. So I would have liked to see a little more development on how they got from the island to fast forwarding, and she's his husband, she's his wife, and she's running his company, and he's just kind of walking around like a shadow of himself. I'm like, was that the win? Like the win that the woman takes over? Is that what she wants us to say? Because no, we don't want her to take over a trafficking business, but we also know that he was like in science and stuff like that. So maybe she turned it around and started, turning the science that they were using for good. So it's possible that that's what she decided to do, was to take the technology and actually use it for good. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. Overall, I'm gonna give this 4 hearts. I did enjoy it. I want you to go see it because I actually want you all to come back to these comments and tell me what you thought. Like, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's not 5 hearts because there's a couple of holes in there and there are a couple of things, and again, for her like debut, for her coming out like feature film, like boom, I'm Zoe Kravitz, I'm doing my thing. I think she did a really great job. And I think that the story and so many of the things that are, you know, suggested throughout the film, they need to be told. And it's very brave of her, especially because there are so many people in Hollywood that benefit from human trafficking within the United States and around the world. For her to make this film and kind of put it out, I know there's some people who maybe are kind of like, ugh, you know, feeling a little hot under the collar because she's speaking directly to them. So, you know, kudos to her for that. And, you know, I'm an advocate for women and girls. So I really appreciated that. Go see it. You'll enjoy it. Yeah, I'm really, really excited that um, she has an opportunity to do more. That's what I want to say. I look forward to what more she's going to do. All right, take care. I'll see y'all next time.